Chairman Graham and members of the committee, thank you for this hearing, Abortion Until Birth, the Need to Pass the Pain-Capable Child Protection Act. Experts here today will be providing you with the research regarding unborn children experiencing pain. Today, I will be providing you with my insight into my experience of surviving an abortion, and in the words of doctors, being subjected to excruciating pain in the process. In August of 1977, my biological mother, as a 19-year-old college student, had a saline infusion abortion forced upon her against her will by her own mother, who was a prominent nurse in their community of Sioux City, Iowa. It was my grandmother's close working relationship with the local abortionist, Dr. Kelberg, that enabled them to force it upon her against her will. It's estimated that she was likely about 31 weeks pregnant with me at the time of that forced abortion. As a toxic salt solution of that saline infusion abortion was injected into the amniotic fluid surrounding me in the womb, attempting to scald and poison me to death, I wonder how long it took for that pain to set in. If you read about it online or in medical journals, you'll find that children like me are actually called the red-skinned or candy apple babies because that toxic salt solution would turn the skin bright red as it peeled it away and moved internally into the organs. I wonder how much I thrashed about in the womb as it attacked my body. I've met many women who had saline infusion abortions and who have told me that they actually felt their child thrashing about in their womb after the delivery of that toxic salt solution as it started to poison them. I can only imagine how much pain I was in over the course of the next 5 days as I soaked in that toxic salt solution as they tried time and time again to induce my birth mother's labor with me. I can only imagine how much pain I was in when I was finally expelled from the womb on the 5th day of that abortion procedure. My arrival into this world was not so much birth, but an accident, a live birth after a saline infusion abortion. My medical records actually state a saline infusion for an abortion was done, but was unsuccessful. I've included this record for you to review today, along with another that identifies a complication of pregnancy as a saline infusion. I can only imagine how much pain I was in when I was laid aside that day, in the words of a nurse who I've now been connected with and who was brave enough to share those details of my life story with me, as arguments about my life and whether I would be provided medical care or simply left to die, like my grandmother instructed the nurses to do, ensued that day. I can only imagine how much pain I was in when a nurse courageously rushed me off to the NICU, shouting out, she just kept gasping for breath, and so I couldn't just leave her there to die. This was also reported to me from the nurse who received me there in the NICU that day. I can only imagine how my pain finally began to subside as medical treatment was provided to me. Sadly, my medical records state that the doctors initially suspected I had a fatal heart defect because of the amount of distress I presented with. I suffered from severe respiratory problems, jaundice, and seizures. I weighed in at 2 pounds, 14 ounces, which is what led a neonatologist to remark in my medical records that I was approximately 31 weeks gestation, as opposed to the 18 to 20 weeks that the abortionist had indicated. My health grew steadier by the day, not simply because of the medical care that I received, but because of the love that I was given. I've been blessed to be connected with a number of nurses and even a volunteer who held me, gave me a name when I was left nameless for 2 months in the hospital, who prayed over me, even knitted me baby booties that I still have in my possession today. I was even more blessed to be loved wholeheartedly by my adoptive parents, who weren't deterred by the doctor's prognoses that I would likely suffer from multiple disabilities as a result of surviving that abortion. My life has been a set of many miracles, which includes being the mother of 2 daughters, and now being united with my biological mother and many members of both her family and my biological father's. I've lived every day since discovering the truth about my survival at the age of 14, knowing that sadly, children like me are subjected to similar, horrific, painful abortion procedures that lead to their death. Abortion doesn't spare a child from suffering, it causes suffering. We live in a day and time where the science of human development, the power of ultrasound, and the sheer number of survivors like me clearly shows the truth about life. I know of 282 other survivors just like me through my work with the Abortion Survivors Network, although statistics reflect that the actual number is much higher. There should no longer be a question of when life begins. There should no longer be the question of which lives, if any, should be protected. There should be no question of whether there should be limits to abortion. We are one of the few nations who fail to do so, and the American public continues to report through polling that they support such limits. There should be no question that every child should be spared from the excruciating pain of an abortion procedure like I was subjected to. The question that does remain, however, is what you will do in the face of this reality about life and abortion in our nation. I'm here today to ask you, will you commit to preventing what happened to me from happening to other children? Every child deserves better than to suffer the pain of an abortion. Thank you for your time and attention this morning.